Welcome back to Introduction to Programming. This is video 25 in our series. My name is John Duane. Today we wrap up our coverage of user interface. As I said last time, this is a really big topic and we are only going to cover the basics in this series. We could spend an entire video series just on user interface. But since this is only an introduction, I'm trying to give you a sense of what the possibilities are in VBA. In the more modern general purpose languages, the realm of possibilities expands significantly, but for today we're going to cover our last VBA example, which is a multi-form interface. Now last time our interface consisted of a single Windows form. Today we will build one that is made up of two Windows forms as well as a new UI element that is available in the language, the file dialog box. You don't have to build this, it's already in the language. And we'll get these forms to work together as a cohesive unit. The file dialog box is pretty cool because it'll look just like the box that pops up on the screen in Excel or Word when you want to open a file. It's terrific. So let's get started. Now last time I showed you how to do the artwork on the forms, so I'm not going to do that again. What I will point out is pretty much what I did without actually doing it, with every mouse click on the screen for you. I created two forms. One called form main, that's the one we're looking at here. I put a label with John D Programming on it. If you were doing this for your company, that's where you would put your company name across the top. Then working our way down the form, the next label explains what the application is. And then we have two buttons, two command buttons. One I've named in the code button go, because this will actually make the program go, and then the exit button is the button that will end the program. So that's what this form has. There's no code yet behind it, so none of these buttons actually does any work yet. Let's look at the other form that I inserted. This one is very simple. It has two controls. One is a text box. Now this is a big text box. I just expanded it to fill most of the window, and then an exit button at the bottom. Now this big text box is going to hold or display the contents of a file that we open up. So that's really what this program is going to do. Let's go back to the main. This program will allow a file of your choice, or will open a file of your choice and display the contents in a separate window, and the separate window is over here. And then lastly, I inserted a module for some declaration of certain elements. I'm going to need a constant and a couple public variables, and so that's where they would go. So let's start putting this thing together so we can see how it works. First, in module 1, I'm going to put a constant and two variables, and these I'm putting in this module because I want them to be applicable to the entire program, and so they really need to go here. That's kind of the way, that is the way that you would declare public variables in an application that has forms. So I've got a public constant called contitle. You've seen me use this one before. So file contents viewer, that's the name of the application, and then a string variable that will hold the name of the file, the path, the file name, and then string file contents, another string. This will hold the contents of the text file that we're going to open up. So that's it for module 1. Now over in main, we're going to need some code over here. So let me open up the code window by right-clicking in Solution Explorer on Form Main and hit View Code. As you can see, we can get rid of the Properties window. It's just in the way. So we've got an empty code window here. So let's first put in some code that will run as soon as the form opens. All right, so this will be a they call this the initialize event. So let me paste that in. You can see kind of how that works. This is a very handy event handling procedure for forms. If you want to set any of the opening values, you would put them in a procedure like this. So the event is initialize and user form. This will apply to form main. And what I'm saying here is me, that's form main. The caption should be con title, and as you recall, that's what we had is our constant file contents viewer. So I want that to appear at the top of the form, not this user form 1 baloney. So we will replace that with con title. Well, let's quickly do the event handling procedure for the exit button. This is an easy one. You'll use this quite a bit. So when the button exit click event happens, this piece of code will run unload me. So remember, me always refers to the current form. So unload basically means close it. So that's all very simple and straightforward. All right, now for the more interesting part. So what happens when we click button go? So here's where it gets interesting. I'll paste that code in. Okay, let's walk through this. And if you have to pause the video so that you can kind of look at this and try to understand it, feel free. I mean, that's really the beauty of these videos. You can kind of go at your own speed. I'm declaring a new type of object variable here, FD. So this is going to be my file dialog box. So I declare a variable called FD as office.fileDialog. So I've declared the variable, so FD is going to be my dialog box. In choice, that's going to be a number that will help me identify which file was selected in the window. You'll see how that works in a minute. Then this next section has to do with setting all the parameters for this file dialog box. So here's where I actually initialize the variable. I set the FD to equal application file dialog. And there's a number of different kinds of dialog boxes. I want the file dialog open box. There's one for save. I think there's a couple other ones. This is the one that I always use. And this is the Microsoft Office constant. So I want the MSO file dialog open. So you'd put that in parentheses. Okay, so now FD is it's identified to the operating system as, or to the compiler that is, as to exactly what I want. And then here are some of the options. Filters, I've got this in here twice. Filters is a way for the dialog box to show just the type of files you want, and I just want text files, .txt files. So I start off by clearing all the filters, and then this last statement down here I add one filter. I just want text files. And then there's an option for allow multi-select. Can I select more than one? I'm saying no. I just want the user selecting one, and then I'll have a title on the box that says select one file. So that configures my file dialog box. It hasn't opened yet. That happens down here. fd.show. That's the command that will actually get the dialog box to appear on the screen. Int choice will hold the results of what the user does with that dialog box, because the user is going to select a file, and when that happens, the number of that file will go into int choice. Now, if int choice equals 0, that means the user didn't select anything, and then we'll exit. But if it doesn't equal 0, that means the user did select something. And since we're only selecting one file, that's all I'm allowing, this is how we would get the file name for that one file into our variable str file. So we do fd.selected items and then parens 1. So that's the way you would write that. Now that's a public variable, so that'll be available to us in a minute when we want to actually read the file. And here we are, form viewer. That's my other form. This is how I get that one to show up, how I get it to pop up on the screen. Form viewer.show. So that's all the code we need for this one. Let's go over to the form viewer window. In order to see the code window, I can right click right on the form and hit view code. I don't actually want that, just wanted the window. So over here we have a button exit event handling procedure to use as well, so we'll put that in. So when that button is clicked, the form will unload. But before all that happens, we're going to have another one of those event handling procedures for when the form opens. So that's an initialize procedure. So user form initialize. So this time I'm going to put the caption at the top of the form as I did before, but more importantly, I'm going to open the file that the user selected in the file dialog box. And so I go through the normal text file opening procedure. I get a file handle, int file. Free file gives me the next available file handle. Then I open string file for input as int file. You've seen this before. And then input the file handle, string file contents. Now this will put the entire contents of the file into this one variable. That's all I want to do, and boom, then we close, and then TB file contents, that's the big text box on the form. The text property is being assigned the string file contents variable that we filled up above here. So this will display the contents of the file. It's pretty simple. Alright, so let's take a look at how we actually run this. I put a button on a spreadsheet just to kind of get this thing rolling. So let's save first and let's run it and see if it works. Okay, so that's good, it works. Let's just for a moment take a look at what's behind this button. View code. So that button sits on sheet 1, and so this event handling procedure in sheet 1 says form main show. So that's how we get that first main form to show up, is with this event handling procedure. So didn't want to go through all this without showing you that part. That's pretty important. So let's get out of design mode, we're in run mode, and let's start this up again. So here we go, here's our form, and notice now file contents viewer is the title. I can actually move this around, I like that. All the labeling shows up nice, so let's pick the file. And here's our file dialog box. It looks just like the file dialog box that you would see with Word or Excel. So let's go find a file. So there's one there. We'll hit open. And then my other form opens on the screen, File Contents Viewer. This is a test of the new multi-form user interface. Fantastic. Close that. Let's pick another one. Let's do the other file. This thing hasn't closed yet. And so this is the other form, the other file, and it's in all caps. We'll hit exit and exit. So there you go. That's our example of an interface with two Windows forms that work together as a unit. Also saw how to integrate the file dialog box into our program. Well, that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to this video series and write comments about anything that wasn't clear. I will monitor the comments and I will definitely respond. See you next time.